I'm a science teacher in Texas. Living in this state means that my children are subject to a lot of non-scientific influence. One day at the dinner table, my 8-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter asked me why we didn't teach intelligent design alongside atheism in science class. Why didn't we teach both sides in school? First, I had to explain that atheism isn't taught in science class, and that evolution isn't necessarily atheist, that there are many Christian scientists who understand and accept evolution. Most importantly, government schools are requisitely secular due to the First Amendment. That means I would never promote atheism in a science class because teaching an opinion with regard to religion there is both unconstitutional and irrelevant. That includes atheism, Christianity, and intelligent design. There are other versions of creation too, from different religious traditions, so I told them the story that I'm about to tell you. Once upon a time there was a mother and a daughter who delighted in each other's company. However, this was no ordinary mother and daughter. The mother was none other than Demeter, goddess of the harvest. She was known to the Romans as Ceres. In fact, Ceres is the origin of the word cereal, a breakfast food made from grains. Her daughter was Kore, goddess of spring's bounty. Kore means girl or maiden in Greek. She was as beautiful as a flower she spent her days collecting. One of their favorite pastimes was roaming through the fields and delighting in the beautiful flowers her mother created to make her happy. On one of these days, little Kore wandered farther afield than any of her nymph playmates and her doting mother. When she finally found the flower she was looking for, she, radiant with joy, didn't notice at first the shadow descending upon her. The earth began to shudder, and a deep chasm opened up behind her. Distracted by her find, she turned to look at the cause of the disturbance. The chasm billowed noxious smoke that smelled of sulfur. The smoke made her eyes well with tears. As she was about to turn and run, the chasm seemingly belched out a chariot drawn by huge horses, who snorted fire from their nostrils. Kore stood mesmerized as even the sky darkened ominously at the entrance of Hades, lord of the underworld.
Hello, pretty. How about a kiss for your uncle?
He then seized her and rode off with her, screaming as they descended into the depths of the underworld. Ah! Her first days without the light of Helios's chariot dragging the sun across the sky were hard. She soon lost track of time, as there was no day here, only night. In her confinement she mourned the company of her mother and her merry friends. She fittingly withdrew from the occupations of the living and even refused to eat. Hades' servants were ordered to tempt her with different foods. In the meantime, Kore's mother Demeter searched the surface of the world looking for her lost child. She began to despair of ever seeing her little flower again. The bounty of the earth withered on the vine as she pined for her daughter. On Mount Olympus, Zeus was besieged with piteous prayers from starving people. He ordered Demeter to work her miracles and restore life to the plants that nourished his people and their animals. She told him that her daughter was the inspiration for her creations, and now she was gone. So Zeus traveled to see his brother Hades and beseech him to release his captive.
You have no authority here. My will is law in the underworld. Besides, anyone who eats or drinks in the land of the dead is doomed to stay for eternity. She ate 6 pomegranate seeds, so she is mine.
Drink.
Zeus persuaded his brother that if everyone on earth died from starvation, then fewer souls would come to him. He bargained with him that since she had only eaten 6 seeds, that she should spend 6 months with him in Hades, and 6 months with her mother. His pride satisfied, Hades agreed to the bargain. When 6 months had passed, Kore returned to her mother. However, she was much changed. She was now Persephone, the terrible queen of the dead. In fact, the name Persephone may have pre-Greek origins and may mean to bring death. her mother awakened her daughter with blooming flowers and fruits of spring. Persephone awakened from her deathly stupor, and the earth awakened with the riot of colors and the sounds of the first spring humanity had ever witnessed. Every rose has its thorn, and they both know that she would have to return to the land of the dead in 6 months. At the end of their time together, Demeter will release her daughter to Hades in despair of ever having her little flower alive with joy the way she had been. The earth became neglected, and winter would take its deathly grip on what was once alive and young. In this way the seasons became established as Mother Nature rejoiced and mourned her little flower season after season. I told my children that story, and then asked my son, a 3rd grader, if he knew why the seasons changed. He explained that the seasons were caused by the Earth's tilt on its axis in relation to its orbit around the sun, so that half the time the northern hemisphere would be tilted away, with the sun at a steeper angle, and the rest of the time the sun would shine on the north more directly. Then I asked him if he thought they should teach both sides of these explanations in science class. He replied quickly, "Of course not. One of those is real and the other is a story." So I asked him whether we should teach creationism alongside the natural explanation of evolution, and he understood for the first time that it wasn't a matter of fairness of teaching both sides. Only one of these is an explanation, testable and applicable in science. The other is a story.